Welcome. You see me doing little technical bits there. I'm still checking things, I'm still looking at things, making sure that what I do can deliver the best service possible to you. So I hope you've done your homework, I hope you've had a good day, and it's only going to get better. Today's session is life-changing. You're going to discover the power of your mind. I really believe that from here, because we run programs, we do all kinds of different things as human beings, we do some crazy things as human beings, and people go, why did they do that? Or you look back at some of the things you've done, you go, why did I do that? And as I talk about why we do something, let me ask you a question. Did you do the little bit of work that you was asked to do? Yes? No? Now, my old training, coming back from gentleman talked about earlier in yesterday's talk, was his name was Bob too, and he used to say it's excuses or performance. Now that's a little bit, it is true, but in context. Now back then that was the way I would look at that and think, yeah, it's going to be an excuse, or you're going to perform and you're going to do your best, because your best is all that anybody can ever ask, especially you. Now the one thing I want to say here is that let's look at things here. If you write your goal card out incorrectly, let's say for example, and the biggest one is Bob Proctor, who phenomenal fella, it's like he used to say, if it's, say you're in debt, okay, been there, know what that's like, just don't do it now. Don't even, it's just not for us, but neither here nor there. But you see, if your goal is to get out of debt, this is so clever up here, your mind. It's so clever, it'll keep you in debt. Now, I can imagine you sitting there going, really? It does, it's a fact, and it's the way it works. So you've got to program your written goals in such a way that it's powerful. That's what today's 12 o'clock was about, which was really cool, and thank you for those that was able to make that call. It backfires on you when you have a negative one. The trick that you're going to learn is this: whatever it is you want to change, what's the opposite? Because life is about opposites, black and white, night and day, front and back, up and down. You can't have one without the other. You just can't. And the saying, as we get into this session today about the power of your mind, where your focus goes, that's what grows. Because where your energy goes, focus, and everything just comes together. When I was really in trouble many years ago financially, and all I could think about was dealing with what I had to deal with around the money, dealing with people, rather than sitting there and thinking, okay, I've made a mistake here, I'm in a place I don't want to be. Now it's somebody talks to me about something and say, well, what do you want? I go, what do you mean? Well, I don't want to be in debt. No. What do you want? Is if you got something on your radar, such as debt, relationships is a big one. People, I always find the wrong person, or I can never find the right person, or whatever it might be, or the government's doing this, the taxes are there, whatever it's ever going to be. You make your own circumstances, and it starts with something as simple as yesterday. What is it you want? And I know that there's only a handful of you would have done it. Doesn't matter if there's 500, 5,000, whatever. The percentage is so small, because you have to start understanding. That's why day 2 is so important today. When you understand it, there's a fair chance you'll go back and you'll either change your goal or you will do it. And having your goal written down is so powerful. I spoke to you yesterday, and I pulled out my file of facts there, and I used to carry goal cards with me back then when I was in that industry. Why? Because the man who taught me it, he said, Lee, this is what you've got to do. And I used to carry my goal cards in my pocket, Could be some in there actually. I know you should be prepared, and there is. They're old school. They've been achieved. Some of them hadn't. I didn't have the skill sets that I have today that I'm sharing with you. Because now when I set a goal, it's inevitable. And I know that if you follow this process, it'll be inevitable for you. You know, it's like anything in life. You have a choice. And I just invite you to make a decision. That's what yesterday was about. It was making a decision on what you want, what you really want, and not to be scared, because it's natural and normal to feel scared. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. What that really is, this feeling of being in fear. But today is exciting. Let me tell you, if you didn't write your goal card down, your goal out on a card. If you like data, research, checking things out, and it's good to check things out, but from the right sources. People who write their goals down are 42% more likely to succeed. So if you look at it, there's only 3%, they say, maybe it's creeped up 4%, we live in a different world today than when that figure first came out, say even 5%. See, if you've got 5% of people who are writing their goals down, typing them out, I don't know what they're doing, but there is something powerful about pen to paper. Inside that, people who've got goals, you know, there's other percentages, and it breaks down and it breaks down. All I want you to do is achieve, be more, do more, and have more of what's important to you, because that's what it's about. As we mentioned yesterday, you know, everybody says, not everybody, that's a bad thing to say, Lee, but you know, everybody says it's I want more money, I want this. No, you want the feelings that brings. Yeah, it's freedom that most people want. If you really look at it, it's the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it, however you want to do it, and it's possible. So let's look at today. Before I go ahead, I just want to say to you, I had a device hooked up here to be able to draw on my iPad and show you some bits and pieces, but I'm going to use the little fella behind me there, up here, rather than the drawing, because I'm learning as I go along here. I've got people coming in to help me, but all that's important tonight is I get to deliver this message to you. And the thing to understand is, let me ask you this question. If you can understand what I'm going to put across to you at the moment, I'm going to ask you just for a second, okay, only if it's safe to do so. You shouldn't be driving. I know people say that as a disclaimer. I'm saying it because I care, and there's some crazy things people do. If you're in a safe place to do so, okay, I want you to just close your eyes. And while you got your eyes closed, I want you just to imagine, not even imagine, I want you to just think of where you live, and I want you to tell me, put a message in there, it doesn't matter how you do it, what's the colour of your front door? Okay, simple. What's you have a fridge in your home? I'm sure you do have a fridge. Has it got one door or has it got two doors? And you're thinking, what's this got to do with the power of the mind? But bear with me. So, if you've got two doors, does it have big handles or little handles? And the handles that go all the way down the door? Or has it got a little handle? Or do you have to put your hand in and just pull it out? And if you've just got a door one, which way does it open? Now, the reason I'm sharing that with you today is what you've just done is you've gone off into your mind. Open your eyes now if you haven't already opened your eyes. Probably doesn't matter if you close them or not. It's what you get out of what we're doing. So what I want to say is this, that what you just done is you created a picture. You created a picture. This is science. We work from pictures as human beings. We do that. You know, when the Wright brothers first got their little aircraft up in the air, I think it was, I can't remember if it was 7 or 11 seconds, whatever it was, and you know, people said, oh, it was only up there for 11 seconds or whatever it was, yeah, back in the day. And one of the brothers said to the other brother, don't worry about it. He said, look, we actually got it up there. We got it up there. We're in the game. We got it up there for 7 or 11 seconds. He says, and I see it. I can see us having these things flying. And they did. And you've got to just look at things that go on in your life. I'm going to start off by, when we talk the power of the mind, is what we do is we use words to communicate as one way of communicating. But you see, each word will create a meaning, and that meaning will have a picture. Now you can put that around picture first, meaning, whatever you want to do. But you see, I don't think any one of you had a problem when I said, tell me, you know, which way your fridge door opens. And my hallucination is that you probably sat there and thought about it for a second with your eyes shut, and you know, like me, you went through the process of it, and bang, you got it, because it's there. If I ask you what colour your car is, if you drive, you know. Now you may not realise in this split second that the brain will give you a picture of it. Yeah, my car's silver, one's blue, one's metallic. But each time I say that, is that thing comes up in my mind and I know that, yeah. So why are we saying this? Why are we saying this? Well, quite simply because the programs that we're running initially may have come through generations and passed down. You've got ways of doing things that was just passed on generation to generation, passed on to you, and you're sitting there, you know, you still do it without thinking. And there's a great story that Zig Ziglar once shared, and I love this story. It makes me laugh every time, as you can see, and it goes along the lines of what lady was cooking a Sunday roast. I don't know if people still have Sunday roasts, but cooking a Sunday roast, and she would cut off both ends of this piece of beef and then put it in the oven and cook it. And a curious child asked, Mum, why do you do that? And something that happens to all of us, you know, the lady stopped to think, and she thought, I've always done it. My mum told me, your nan told, you know, she taught me it, and so she's always done it. So as Zig shares the story, and he says, you know, she phoned her mum up, so that's the little kid's grandparent. So we're going back a long time, you know, and basically what it was is the first person who done it in the family, who was the great grandmother. She said, oh, that's simple. She said, we didn't have a pan big enough to put the beef in. And that just tickles me pink, because if you look at your own life, let me ask you the question, what do you do that your mum and dad do that their mum and dad done, or just passed on through environments? It's crazy, but when you start looking at it and you think, and you ask questions and you get curious, curiosity is phenomenal. Get curious about life, get curious about things. Yeah? Don't just, you know, take what's being said as truth. You know, there's too many things goes on in our world, no matter where you are, whether you're here in the UK, somewhere else, Australia, America. You know, there was something we was all fed back in the early 20, part of this, the early 2020, 2021, whenever it was, you know, and we all went with it, and now the truth's coming out and it's different. But I don't want to go down that, but what I'm trying to say to you is you've got to look at things, and sadly we're conditioned You're conditioned up and until you get what I'm going to share with you shortly, that was shared with me. Okay, and it really opened my eyes, because I used to believe in the power of the subconscious mind, and one of the first books I read many, many years ago, it's up there, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Mr. Murphy. Yeah, fabulous book. And I read that back in late 80s, early 88, 89, I'm not sure, and it was great. And that's where I got, as my friend shared with me earlier, mentioned about writing out my goals, what I wanted, and I achieved a lot of them. I did, but I didn't have the full understanding of what was going on. Not until, I think it was, I'm just thinking here. I think it was 2016, and I went to an event over in Los Angeles. And when I say I went to an event, I just went for the weekend. My wife and we went out there, and if the truth be known, I couldn't really afford to do that at the time. I think I was personal training, we was all kinds of things doing, we was up to, we was stretched a little bit, and life wasn't nowhere near like it is today, but it was like, but you see, I followed my intuition. There was something about it, and I went out there with my wife, and we went to this event. And what I'm going to show you briefly in a second, I wish I could show you with a pen, and my apologies. I will do that, and I will put the video up so you can see the full presentation of what we're going to share. And when Bob Proctor showed it to us, and he was there with a lady called Sandy Gallagher, his business partner, and it was unbelievable when we got what was being shared. And it was all down to what I shared with you earlier in this conversation. It was all down to realising we picture things. And then we started looking back in our own life, my wife and I, looking at what are things that we've done and achieved where we just knew because we could describe it. We knew because it was inevitable. That's other things with goal planning that you get to learn when you go through what we share, is you really get to understand that you create a picture, you see yourself being it, doing it, having it. You can express it in such a way, it's phenomenal. And in the right circumstances, you're creating them. And then the right people come into your life. And as I shared on the 12 o'clock call earlier today with some people there, it comes a lot easier. You get more quality time with the people you love. You get to do things. It happens a lot easier. And the truth being is you have this magical part of who you are that you just need to tap into and find. And how do you do that? Well, as I said earlier, you're a human being. You work with pictures. You work with pictures. And if you can imagine it, and you can see it, and you can really believe it, you can hold it in your hand. You can be it, you can do it. Yeah. I know there's people on this call, you've done things that are just like other people would just, they call it a bucket list. I don't have a bucket list. What's the meaning of a bucket list? You're putting in a program here that says I'm old, I'm on my way out, I'll do a bucket list. No, just live life on purpose and grab every opportunity you can. So, anyway, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Grab a pen, get yourself a decent piece of paper, something to write on. So I'm going to keep talking just for, where's the clock gone? I'm going to talk for another minute, and then we're going to put pen to paper, and we're going to start, looking at this thing that I'm going to share with you tonight. And I promise you, take the time to think. Okay, please do the homework tonight. If it's the only bit of homework you ever do for the rest of your life, I know it won't be, I know it's a crazy thing to say, but you see, in doing your homework tonight, you'll realise something absolutely life-changing. You might even find out, it might take you a few days, some people, it doesn't matter. But when you start to study this stuff, when you start to really understand the whys, now I'm going to contradict that why, you won't always know the why. So you have to trust the process, and that process is you. It's going to be your belief, your faith, and your understanding. And there's other things you need to learn as you go along. But when you understand it and you see how your body either reacts or responds to these things, you'll get to see when you're reacting to life what the cause is. And after tonight, you'll be able to delve into what it is that's causing you to react to life. Because when you react to life, you're not in control. Think about it. When you go and see a doctor, and I'm sure a lot of you heard this, but when you go and see a doctor, you know, they'll give you a medication. I believe they still do. I haven't been to a doctor in over 20 odd years. But I want to tell you that the question they ask is, how are you responding to the medication? How are you responding? Because when you're responding, it's good. You're in control. You get better if you're poorly. But if you react to it, you come out in a rash, if whatever it might be. You know, you in a where we live today. I mean, there's more people coming out with symptoms of this, that, and the other than there's ever been since we've been on the planet. I think they got a pill for everything these days, but I diverse. I won't do that. So here we go. So we're going to do some drawing, and like I said, please forgive me for this, but my goal is to get you where you want to be. As I promised, I want you to understand the power of your mind. Some of you come here today because of some of the adverts you might have seen, and you saw there was an iceberg. And you know, a tip of an iceberg is literally what I've just said it is. It's the tip of an iceberg. Underneath, it's phenomenally big. It's massive. And if we look at the top of that iceberg as being what's going on around us, and the underneath is just what's there available, what's possible. So let's do this. Okay, I want to introduce you to the Stickman, we're going to call him, okay? The Stickman. Now, one of the lovely things about the Stickman is you'll be able to go to it anytime you want to go to it and just think about where you're at. So I've asked you to get a piece of paper and a pen. So the first one we could do is the first part of this. And that's going to look something like, I'm going to ask you to do this and then show you on the camera, okay? First thing I want you to do, if you can see that, is a circle, okay? And that is then going to have a little line coming down it with a smaller circle, okay? Now, I'll do that and show you. So it looks like that so far, yeah? Crazy, right? And then I want you to put a little pair of legs on this fella and then a little pair of arms. Now, the big circle, we're going to say represents, listen to the words, represents our mind. Okay? Then the little circle with the legs, I'll put a pair of feet on mine. Okay. What you've now got going on is this. So we've got the mind that's attached to our body. Okay, that's just for this example, so I can give you some kind of picture. Okay, now what would you say before seeing that? What does the mind look like? Okay, it's interesting. What does the mind look like? Now, I think you'd agree we come out with some funny statements initially. And if you was to draw something that you believe it is, you know, most people, it's like, you know, if you look at a little emoji on some of the apps, you know, it's a picture of a brain or something like that. But you see, we use this word, you're out of your mind. I got my mind set on it. What does that mean? what does it mean when we say it? We've heard people say it, we've grown up with it. Yeah. So for this example here, like I said, we're going to just look at it, understand it, and move through it. Now, I want you now to draw a line through the center of the big circle at the top. Okay, so it looks like that. Excellent. Okay, how's your drawing skills doing? How's your drawing skills? And for this exercise, like I say, for this exercise, I want you to look at the top half, okay, and I want you to write the word conscious mind, okay. Conscious mind. So now it looks like that. And then what we're going to do in the bottom half, we've heard this saying for years, is the word your subconscious mind. Okay. Now, it's very important for you to, I've just got some notes that I like to get in there for you. It's very important for you to go through this exercise, okay? Because as you go through it, it's something that I think will change for you. If we never get to talk again, this will make a difference in your life if you go back to it and think about the next stages we're going to say. Our conscious mind, the top half, okay, sorry, my apologies, the conscious half, the top half. Now this is only for this exercise, what I'm sharing before you go off on science and all kinds of things. Okay, this is about understanding so that you can use your beliefs, what you focus on, to your advantage rather than to your unknowingly disadvantage. Okay, that's what this is about. I remember years ago being in a martial arts studio, and I used to wear contact lenses, and I'm sharing this with you because you have to get the understanding. I know really a lot about the person now, you know, and when somebody's wired that way, because we're all wired a certain way because of how we've been programmed. And unfortunately for me, it felt like my contact lens had popped out, as they were new to me at the time. I was used to wearing glasses and I'd gone to lenses so I could train. And I always just remember it's my eyes started getting a little bit funny, whatever you, and the instructor at the time, Grandmaster Lee, he was asking me if I was okay, and I said, I think my contact lens has come out. And we're having a little look to see what's going on, and somebody said, well, I'm an optician. And I don't know what that was going to do to help me find my lens, but so long story very, very short was, I said, you know what, I think it's gone behind my eye. I can feel something. And this is the bit I want to share with you. To you and I, we're not opticians, okay? We're not opticians. I don't know why I touched my glasses then, but we're not. Now, I know since that event, because I wore lenses for many, many years until laser surgery came out, and then I had laser, and now I just use these for reading. I'd like to say for reading and looking intelligent, but the second one's not working right. But if I say this to you, that all I know, it was at the back of my whatever goes on here. I know my eye's attached to other things and goes back into my brain, so it can't go right into the back. I know that. But if you wear lenses, I'm sure you understand that when it goes up over the back, what do you say to somebody? The lens has gone behind my eye, and it come back round and it folded over, and I cleaned it and I was able to put it back in and carry on. But I always remember to this day that the lady was so adamant. She kept on and on, even at the end of the class. It couldn't have gone behind your eye. It's impossible to go behind your eye. And she didn't talk like that, but it was that kind of passion, you know. And my whole point being, it's look at things, make it work for you, yeah. Don't be adamant that, because it can sometimes take you out of the game. Then you're reacting to life to win an argument or to win what you believe. And it's not about winning or losing. It's about going through life in such a way that you get to experience it, and you get to give other people experiences that are good, that adds value to your life, to their life, your experience. Yeah. Okay. So what we've got going on here now is coming back to our wonderful drawings we've all got. Would have been a nice thing if we'd have been on a different kind of media, because we could actually share the drawings, but we can do that in the Facebook group. But you see, what we've got going on now, our conscious mind, we get to choose in that part of our life. This down here is what runs our body, that creates our life. Because what we've got going in here, our subconscious, is the part of our body and our makeup. It's in every cell in our body. So somebody wants to lose weight, and they're going down the gym and they're doing everything, and then they meet somebody and they're at an event or something, and they start eating cake or something, and somebody says, I thought you was on a diet, and they go, well, I am. You see, you got to change what we're going to talk about in a second. You got to change. You can't always change instantly. Not always. Listen to the word I said there, always. Because the reason the person on the diet is going to have the cake is the program they're running. Their subconscious mind, although the conscious thought is I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, is they're just using words. It's years and years of programming inside the subconscious mind. We call it habits. We're going to call it something else shortly. But, we have habits. That's why we do something. I remember years ago, and people say, well, you do martial arts, you go up and down the hall blocking and doing all this stuff, or kicks, whatever it is. And it's like, when it becomes automatic, when you need to be who you need to be when you're doing something. Just a crazy example of it. It's like if we was in, nice when we do this in a hall, a live event on stage, and we throw a ball at you, you will automatically, in the main, most of you, pick it out of the air with your dominant hand. Some of you go, I can't catch. But when we change your thinking, I can show you how to catch within 1 minute. You will catch a ball being thrown at you, 8 times out of 10. Even the best of the best drop. Because we just have to change the way it's being received in here. Then that change will turn up in the body. In that example, the hand will pick up and go to the place it needs to get the ball, because of what we shared. If you want to try that, if you've got somebody you can try that, it's a very simple exercise for those that think they can't catch. Yes, you can. A tennis ball is a great way to do this with. Mess about, if you have to show your person you're with, your partner, that you do drop it, throw it a few times or whatever. But then I'm going to ask you to, as I was once shown, as the ball's being thrown, start looking for Slassinger's the only one, or Dunlop actually, so there's 2 I can think of now. They used to put the name across the tennis balls. I don't know if they do that today, but if you just change it so as the ball comes towards you now, that the person who believed at that time they could not catch that ball, as they start looking for which way the signs come in, whether it be Schlesinger or Dunlop, whatever's on the ball, suddenly everything slows down for them, and it works. I've never seen it not work, and maybe you're a doubting Thomas. I'm a Lee Thomas, but you might be a doubting Thomas, thinking, I don't believe it. Try it. Okay, it works. Anyway, we diverse. So let's look at this now. Let's really get into this. It's good stuff, right? I think it is. I know you do as well. So let's look at it. So here we are. This part of what's going on is exercise. We've got our conscious where we can choose. We can decide what it is we want to do, what we want to believe. We get to choose in there. And to be honest, so many people don't even choose and just go along with what's going along. And that's because of the lack of what we done yesterday. No goals. That's all that is. I always say to somebody when I used to be in sales, the only reason you're not doing what you should be doing, you're saying you've got goals, you've got impotent goals, they're not your goals. But let's stay on track. I did say to you yesterday, we'll go a little bit further today because I want you to get this point. So, subconscious part, if you think how clever this part of being human is it's got your heart working, all the bits and pieces working for you to have you live. And what's wonderful about that, I mean, look how clever you are as a human being. You cut your finger, that part there, the subconscious that's built in there, it will just heal it. It will heal. It's amazing what's possible. It's off the charts. We don't have time to go into it now. So let's look at this. Now we've drawn the line across there, just saying for the conscious, that's where we get to choose, decide. We take in the information. Okay, how do we take the information in? So I'm going to ask you to put 5 little antennas on top. I'm going to come over to the little stick man now, up here, just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Conscious, subconscious. Okay. What's programmed in here, the body will follow. Yeah, it will do it. Yeah. You get confusion up in here, you get nervous all over your body, as an example. Okay, as an example. So you've got these up here. Now what I want you to do is, however you want to put it, you're going to put your senses up here, what you see, hear, smell, taste and touch. Okay, so for all your life up until today, okay, what you've done is you've seen what's going on. You might hear it, taste it, however your senses takes it in, that's what you take in, and you make it mean whatever you make it mean. Now, one of the things when we was born early, in the early days, we didn't have this line there. We just absorbed what was going in. You know, it's funny, I talked to you about the little money tree behind me, and there's a beautiful story, and I thank my eldest son there for that, and that's why it's there. But you see, I don't know about you, I grew up and I would hear my mum would say, what do you think we are, Rockefeller? If you don't know who that is, Google it. I guess it's like saying, who do you think we are now, Warren Buffett family? Or, you know, what do you mean you want more money for trainers, whatever it was back in the day? You know, what do you think, money grows on trees? What do you think, we're made of money? And I grew up in a household that didn't have money. Mum and Dad worked hard. Yeah, when Mum was not poorly, as I shared yesterday, she would have 3 jobs. 3. Just worked. Dad worked all the hours he could. He was a cab driver. And, you know, we never went without, but it weren't easy for them. But you see, they grew up in an environment where the senses was constantly being thrown into, let's say that what was being thrown at them, their environment was, you know, it was, if you want money, you got to work hard. You'll never get too far if you've not got this qualification, that qualification. I mean, Dad, God bless him, he didn't have too many qualifications. I don't think he had any, actually, when I look back, but he had this big heart and he used to work hard, as did a lot of your parents. We live in a different world today. But you see, as a child, if you've grown up and all you've heard is, you know, we don't have enough money, or, you know, money don't grow on trees, that's not for us, that's for them, you know, it's what you believe. It's what you believe. And it was like I was told, you know, if you, as I'm sure lots of you have been told, if you go to school, Lee, and you study hard, you'll learn well and you'll do good. And you know, my sister, she went to school and she went and done all kinds of things. She worked in a bank at one point, you know, so she'd done that. We used to have somebody live opposite us where we lived in the UK on this council estate just north of London, not in London. It's in Hertfordshire. And I always remember my friend's older sister. Back then, if you got a job in M&S, which is Marks and Spencer's, I think it's all over the world now. At that age, you know, she used to be so smart, like kind of uniform, to go and work in M&S, which was phenomenal. I mean, you walk in M&S now, you don't have a clue who works there. You don't know if somebody's shoplifting, but it turns out they're not shoplifting. They work there. They're walking about with clothes and doing kinds of things. I exaggerate on the shoplifting bit, but I'm telling you, my wife loves a little bit of M&S. So when we go there, I don't know. I really don't know, because they're dressed just like the public. Still a good store, still got good values and good service, so that's good news. But the point I'm sharing is, back in the day, either you had to go to college, go to uni. What was the other thing people would do? They would get you do an apprenticeship, and that was the way that you had to get a skill. You know, my brother was a cabinet maker. You could become a bricklayer or whatever it might be. Well, my friend's sister, she got this job with M&S, and wow. You know, she set for life. Could still be there. I don't know. You know, I don't know. We've moved on and lived in so many different places. I don't know what she'd be doing, but I know the job wouldn't be that secure, and no job is secure these days. Companies get bought out, they change their mind. It's a crazy world. I mean, we live in a world where if you've got your own business, you can't even get rid of somebody if they're no good at their job. Now, I ain't going down that road. You people are sensible. You know what the score is. When you put everything you've got into a business, you want the best of the best. Or you want to bring people in who are willing to start off not being so good at what they do, then get very good at it. If that makes sense. But you know me, I do like to just come off tangent a little bit. Let's go back to this. So as a little child, you would have had, this is science, you would have had things passed down to you through DNA in all kinds of different ways. You know, that's within you. Okay, that's within you. And up and until you get to a certain age in life where you can start choosing and wanting, and often take a little kid who wants something, what would they do? They would scream. What do mum and dad do when they scream? And this is before they've got to the conscious part of making decisions. They'd scream, they get fed. They'd scream, they get picked up. You know, so they just do that. So habit one's just pulled in. Now, that can carry on through into adult life. We've seen lots of people around. We meet them all the time. Yeah, people who make a hell of a noise just to get attention. Yeah, it's their world. As long as they're happy, it's all good stuff. Now, what then happens later on? You got all this stuff going in. You're taking all this stuff in. You know, if you smell a certain smell, that what happens? It makes you feel good or it makes you feel bad, because you've had a good or bad experience with it. You've made it mean something within your nervous system, within who you are. Now, let's just move forward a little bit. As you get older, you've got stuff coming in all the time, but now you can filter whether you're going to believe it or not. As a child, this part here wasn't there, so it just went straight in here. That's why some youngsters can speak several languages. As you get older, it becomes more challenging. But you see, if it's all you ever knew, it's what you do. You just do it, and then it stays with you. And now, what you'll find today, understanding this, is that, like me, for many, many years, as a 50-year-old man, I was making decisions from things that I'd done as a youngster. Yeah, I'll share that story with you on Thursday, and I'm sure you'll resonate one way or another. But you see, we make things mean something because it come in through one of the senses, and whatever it meant, it stuck with us. But here's the wonderful thing. Like, I can assure you the story that Zig shared earlier, you know, about the great-great-grandmother who, you know, the only reason she cut either end of the roast beef off was it wouldn't fit in there. Little tin that she had for her oven. But the little child who's asking the question, I can bet your bottom dollar, as that old saying goes, is they never cut the end of that off. They just bought a bigger pan. There's always something you can do. You got to stay conscious of it. So here we are. So we're going through life, and what we're basically doing is taking all this information in, and if we keep repeating it, it gradually sips in here and becomes a habit of ours. We don't accidentally get fat. Now some people go, that's a bit controversial, isn't it? No, it's not. You don't accidentally get fat. I'm sitting here now probably, I don't know, 10 kilos lighter than I was 5 or 6 weeks ago, and that's because I made a conscious choice and a decision. I have a picture of what I want to look like. I love the energy of life and I want to be on the planet as long as I can be. So I've done something about it. So I had the outcome. I had my reasons. Remember, homework, 6, 7 reasons to get to your purpose. Okay, I've done something about it. Because I had picked up some habits, and this is why I'm sharing it, is I've never accidentally eaten anything other than a fly when I was on the motorbike. That's it, and I only done that once, but there you go. Yeah, so we don't, whatever it might be, but something like that. Yeah, people can say it's in the food, and people have sued McDonald's and they've done all this back in the day, crazy world, but you don't accidentally do that. Okay, you make a conscious decision, and then when you make a conscious decision and you got enough leverage behind it, what you're making up here is the conscious decision, and you keep the picture. Yeah, remember we talked about the door, we talked about your colour of your car if you've got a car. Now you're taking a picture of something that you're gonna, I'm going to use the word something you're going to work towards at the moment. We will change that as we go through the week, and when you get a few examples for yourself, you'll understand what I'm saying. Because at the moment, your body is an instrument of your mind. What's going on here affects what's going on in the body. Okay, if you've got negative thoughts going in here, you've got worry and concern going in here, you're going to get worry and concern in your body. If you look at the word disease and break it down, D-I-S-ease, your body's not at ease, it's at dis-ease. Think about it. Think about it. I've seen phenomenal things where people have overcome illnesses, got to do things they were told couldn't be done. Yeah, it's crazy. But you see, when you start realizing up here, you get a choice to believe something, because nothing has any meaning other than the meaning you choose to give it. Now let's look at that, just that little statement there. Nothing has any meaning other than the meaning you give it. Now my example I often share with people is, if you're in the UK and you go out to North America, if you're in the UK and you're a gentleman and you wear pants, underpants, right? Okay, hopefully you do. Now if you go out to North America, and vice versa, if you look at this, if you're going to go and put your pants on, you're putting a pair of trousers or your jeans on, possibly in other parts of the world as well. So you've got the same word, different meaning. Yeah, but you see, since I can remember as a child, that's what they've always been called, and that's what's in there. Yeah, doesn't matter what it is. It's whatever's programmed in there, whatever mum and dad, or whoever you grew up with, would constantly say. Things have happened to you as you've gone through life, and they believe, up until about 26, they say by the time you got to 26, you've made some key decisions of how you go about life. Things have happened and you made it mean you're caring, or you made it mean you don't trust people, or you made it mean whatever it happens to be. Money always comes to you, or money never comes to me. I'm no good with money. Yeah, I'm terrible with relationships. Now, yeah, it's true because you believe it's true. Understand that. Because at the moment, what's going in here, it's going to believe you. Up here, you have a choice. In your conscious mind, you have a choice. Do I believe it or don't I believe it? Hmm. Here's the good thing. Yeah? Here's the good thing. This part of your mind, it will do as it's told. By repetition, by the correct repetition. Or by the incorrect thing, it will do the bad thing. When you say, I don't know how somebody could do that, it's because of the program they're running. And these programs, we call them paradigms. A group of habits that we use habitually in the main that don't serve us. As we're looking at it from this point of view, we're looking at the group of habits. We're going to find them that don't serve us, and we're going to change them. A paradigm is something so powerful, you have to work at it. Now, don't get me wrong, I said to you earlier in this call that in the main it can't be changed straight away. It can. I know when something really powerful happens, happened at 9/11 many years ago. There was people on this planet just devastated. I was about to get on a plane. I was in Amsterdam, flying back to the UK. We sat there for 12-15 hours. But you see, something happened. And in that moment, I have friends in New York, and oh my God, it was shock to everybody. But you see, remember Tony Robbins sharing this with us when we was with him, and he said he was doing an event and he had people, I'm not getting into any kind of politics, religion or nothing, I just want to share the story with you to give you the idea that he had a group of people from all over the world. I think he had something like 50 or 60 people with him. It was a private retreat, and I think he was in Fiji, and when that happened, and he said there was people there angry, upset, all over the place. But there was some people who wasn't angry for their own reasons and their own beliefs. Because that's the way everything is, all different. So people say, well, how could somebody do that? And somebody's saying, well, whatever they say, and it's like, nothing has any meaning of the meaning you give it and the set of beliefs that you have behind it. So my thing for you is to say, get yourself a set of beliefs that serve you for the better, and everybody involved with that decision, choice, that act, whatever you do. Yeah, it's very important. I remember, I don't know if I should ask the question. No, I won't share that story. I won't share that. I can't cut it because it's live, but I'm not going to share that story. But you see, nothing has any meaning other than the meaning you give it. You got to look at what you make things mean. But it's really interesting to look at this whole situation and think about the fact that you can choose to believe whatever you want to choose. Doesn't matter what government's in it, doesn't matter what tax bans something is or whatever's going on. I want you to start making your own circumstances. How do you do that? Well, you start running what's going on here. And the first way to do that is start thinking. Because when you're not thinking, anything can go in there. Your senses, it's picking up so much stuff all day long. It's constantly going in. And if it's not filtered and you're not up to something, it can go straight in there. That's why I say to people, look at context of something. There used to be an advert on telly. I think it was an advert many years ago over here in the UK, and it was the picture of this, what they call a thug, running at this lady, to actually grab her. And you think, oh my God, what's that about? And then they show the other angle, context, scaffolding's coming down, the guy's taking her out. Yeah, he literally scooped her up and took her out of the way. So you've got to look at things. Yeah, I believe everything happens to all of us to serve us if you look far enough. I mentioned earlier or yesterday, things went wrong for me and my wife. I look back and think, oh wow, it did serve us because it made us look at life differently, make some changes, do the actions we needed to do. Because what was going in here at the time was thoughts that had created the life that we got ourselves into, or and mistakes that was made to lose everything. Yeah. So you have the ability to see up here, your antennas are constantly going. We're so clever, we can hear what's going on. We're seeing so much. Yeah. We smell things. We get to taste things. And we get to give them meanings. But you see, up until this moment, 8:25 on Tuesday the 12th of May, you could blame your mum, your dad, your uncle, your aunt, the school you went to. I had somebody say to me, just there was something happened and somebody reached out on multimedia or whatever, and they said, oh, you do really well with yourself and whatever. I didn't, just say, oh, thank you and whatever. They said, you've done really well, bearing in mind the school we went to, and it's terrible what they done to us and what have you. And I'm thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. I had a great time at school. Weren't always there, but I had a great time at school. And I realised that person, I'm 63. I'd think about that then. I'm 63 next month, not now, next month. This person was a year older, so they are 63 or 64, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, you've carried that with you, that belief in here all your life, that you couldn't be more than a certain way in life, if that makes sense. And it's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. I mean, I met a guy where I used to go to learn to fly. He used to come in this little aeroplane. I can't remember what they're called, a little thing on the front. Anyway, he was 74 and he was learning to fly a helicopter. And as I got to know the guy, he actually never went to school. Never went to school. He went for a little while, then he gave up and what have you, and went out working with his dad. So the program he had in there that he had learned is I work for everything I want, and when I want it, I get there. It turned out he's a really nice guy, and life's good to him. Had a couple of marriages, so he always said to me, I wish I'd have met you before, but with a set of beliefs like that, the program is running. What's the program you're running? Is it excuses? Yeah. Are you blaming people? Is you always got problems with your belly? I say your belly. I've got a friend of mine, phenomenal person. Every time they go to fly, all goes wrong in the belly. That's all I'm going to say. But you see, that's their belief. So here's what we need to do. We need to start programming in here. How do we do that? By repetition. We get our goal card. And some people say to me, oh, Lee, they don't work, them boards. Well, goal boards, they don't work. Oh, they do. If you do it properly, if you run the right program, if you realise that everything that's going on for you in your life, you're attracting. There's actual scientific energy, my apologies, there's actually scientific proof. You can see the energy change in people when their thinking changes. You see that you attract. At the moment, my hallucination is that if your story, I'll never find the right person, the right relationship, works for so long and then boom. And it's the program you're running. It's called self-destruction. I used to do it with money. I've been blessed with a wonderful relationship with my wife. I've got to say that. Now, she's not sitting there, but I know she's on the call. But I've been blessed with that because I love people and I just met the right person. That's why I got married within 6 weeks. Within 6 weeks. 36 years I've been married. I said 34 yesterday. Quite rightly so. She corrected me. God bless her. But you see, life, who you are as somebody who's alive on this planet, you are a ball of energy. Okay, you are a scientifically proven ball of energy, and when you see it, somebody's energy levels change because of what they're thinking, what they believe. And at the moment, when this bit here is not checked, anything's going in there. You've got so much stuff in there like I had for years. Yeah, I believed because of an incident that happened to me. I think it was 1977. I'll give you the right date. Give you the right date on Thursday. I'll tell you a story that just show you that if I can achieve what I want to achieve, doing the things I'm sharing with you, so can you. So can you. Yeah. I for years believed I didn't understand money. Money doesn't stay with me. I believed that. And then when I had the blessing, call it what you want to do, is when I got the understanding of this and I had a conversation with a phenomenal person, and I really, in a moment, I realised the instant that I made it mean to me, I don't understand money. I don't know. And you've got to understand, I was earning some serious money, and I still had this belief. It don't matter if you've got habits going on. If you are a nice person without money, you'll be a really nice person with money. For example, if you're sensible with money, or you're sensible with money, whether you're earning £100 a day or 100 grand a day, it doesn't matter what you're earning. But if you're sensible with it, you'll be sensible, as you earn more and do more, if that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. But you see, all money does is amplify who you really are. That's all money does. But I had this belief, and the minute I lost it, oh my God, our life turned around. Yeah. But it's not about me, it's about you. The beliefs that you have around relationships. If you're on your 5th marriage, it's not the woman or the man. It's not them, is it? Let's be honest about it. If you're in your 4th marriage and the same thing keeps happening, there's only one common denominator there. Yeah. And in the moment you get that, and you realise that that's the program that you've got going on in this part of your mind. This is because of what you're saying up here. That don't work for me. No. It's I don't know what's up with these people. There's nothing up with them. You're just attracting the kind of person that you're putting out there. These are sensors coming in. But as energy, we put something out. That's why you have to be before you can do. You have to do before you have. Yeah? I remember years ago when there used to be some great conversations around that. No, you got to do before you can be. No, you have to be. Who are you being? Who are you being in here? What's the program you're running? Is it a healthy program? Because once you get that new way of being in here, the only reason you don't have enough money is the paradigm needs to change. Yeah? Or the reason you have a lot of money but you're terrible with relationships is the paradigm you're running. Yeah? And that'll come down to your self-talk. It'll come down to what I call the little dude in here. Now, the little dude is really what the paradigm is. It's a part of you that has got into a way, let's call it, it's part of you that's set inside to protect you. That is saying to you, because of the program you've run and you've been, you've had your fingers burnt, whatever they want to call it, your heart broken, because you've been in relationships and they go to a certain way. It's the paradigm you're running, yeah? Your paradigm can be the little dude, this little voice that goes in your ear and it don't support you. And it's trying to protect you. They say if you go back far enough and understand it, it was actually back in the prehistoric time, it would defend you because it knew that danger was about, or whatever it might be. But you see, I know I'll share it with you as I spin around here. I've got a couple of them, but I've got up here in my martial arts days, this is I love this. I've got quite a few little locks, and there's some great papers, and if you reach out to me I'll send you one and you can read it. Is my instructor taught me that was, to tame the ox. The ox was, if you look at the in some of the old school books, very old books, if you could tame it, the ox was the thing that was pulling you all over the place. It had control of you. I'm calling it a paradigm because that's what I've been taught it being. It's our habits. But when you tame the little voice, you know what it's like when you get up in the morning and that alarm goes. Oh, Zig used to call it the opportunity to get up and go out and have another day, which is a blessing every day. But you see, and you reach over and you get the snooze. What's that about? You'd made a decision to get up at 5, 6, 7, whatever. Alarm's gone off and you hit the snooze. It's just a paradigm, it's a habit. There's lots of reasons why that happens, because I tell you now, when you get the goals that you really want and you start changing up here, yeah, from your senses is what you're seeing, what you're feeling, okay, and you start putting in the new thing that you want. If you've got no money, yeah, I say that because that's what 70% of people talk about. I mean, even in a country that give you free money, what's going on? You know, so if you've got no money, don't focus on lack of money. Is take the time out, and we'll teach you how to take the time out to see yourself living, however it might be. I told you yesterday, I know people who are so happy and joyful, and as far as I'm concerned, super successful in life. They might earn £30,000-40,000 a year, but they love what they do. They go home to their family, they crack open a tin of beer or whatever, a bottle of beer, and they watch their telly and they're happy. They're doing what they want to do. Seriously. They'll have their holidays and they'll do their things and what have you. And some people go, oh, I couldn't. Well, it doesn't matter what you could do. They're happy. Happiness is doing what you want to do when you want to do it. It's about having your health. It's about making choices and decisions that serve you and the others around you. Now, I'm going to ask you quite simply to look at this drawing. Think about what you're taking in and what you're making it mean. Yeah? We can take it further, of course we can. But for now, okay, go to your, if you printed it off, because that's the funny thing. I've done programs and watched things, I just watch it and don't do nothing. Yeah? See, you can have all the beliefs and all the thinking and everything, but until you take action, nothing happens. And you go through the fear barrier, and we'll talk about that. That's when your energy take you from where you are to where you want to go. So when you're at this level here, whether it's relationships, money, love, whatever it might be, going for a tournament, want to be the best at what you do, the best in a certain field. If you're here, when you start wanting to go up to here, all kinds of the energy changes. In here, okay, you've already got something going on in here. You've got the paradigm that's not serving you, or it might be serving you and you just want to get better at that thing or more of that thing, or have, what it be, do or have. So that's in here. So when we make a decision and we consciously choose, we start going through written goals. We start sitting down and writing out what our life would be like with our new goal achieved, whether it's any one of the things I just mentioned, whatever it might be for you, something you're not done before. Yeah, a real C-class goal. Yeah, you gotta really get yourself really up for it and go for it. And you've written the goal out, and then you've written the goal card and you're carrying it with you, and then you take the time, at least minimum 2 but 3-4 times a day, to sit safely with your eyes closed and just imagine that goal achieved, because you've already done it. You already actually do it. You actually do it for the things that aren't working in your life. Yeah, and it takes work. I know I have. I used to do it all the time, and I had blind spots on it. I didn't know I had them, and suddenly through doing the work, they come one day. You realise what it is. You might see it in somebody else and think, nearly said it, but you go, oh my God, that's me. Up and until you realise you are in control. Nobody else is in control. The things that have gone wrong in your life, your fault. In the wrong place at the wrong time, your fault. I had an accident in my car once going to a martial arts tournament. Normally, I'd be at that tournament 7 o'clock in the morning helping out. Help it set up. Been doing martial arts back then for late 27, 28 years. And this time we were building our house, our dream house, my wife and I. That's another story. And I left late that morning. I don't think I left till 8 o'clock. Never done it before. Never not been there early. Never. In 20 odd years. Never. Even as a very junior belt, would get there to help with my instructor because it's what he would show me the right thing to do. This day we went late. I took my youngest son was training. He was in the competition. I was an official. Left late. Messaged my apologies for being late. Several things happened. First time I'd ever gone late. It was then followed by didn't take my car, which I'd normally take. Took my wife's. Went away I wouldn't normally go. Sitting at a set of traffic lights, a car hit a car two behind me so hard it went on and hit us. It triggered everything, and you know, the airbags and all the different things. We was in a nice car at the time. All the neck stuff come out to protect us. Turned out the person who hit the car at the back was at that challenge in life where you fall asleep at the wheel. Shouldn't even have had a license. Now, I always remember somebody said to me, "Why aren't you so angry about it?" I said, "Well, it was my fault." He said, "How can it be your fault? You was at the set of the lights." What was funny, we had a hearse behind us, like there was nobody in it. But the lady behind the hearse, she was really sadly hurt quite a lot because the car hit her with such an impact. Now, I looked at that and I think, well, I'm thankful, first of all, I was so far ahead of it, and all it done was we had to have a new rear end put in the car, believe it or not, but it was crazy. But you see, I was the one that put myself there, and I put my son there as well, because I left late. I'd done all those things. And at the time there was things going on in our life that was really like all over the place. And when you got something going on with your life over there, and that was to do with something to do with the build of our dream home, something we've been let down. So that was a big problem for us for about 3 or 4 days actually, because we overcome it. Because just because you study this stuff and you learn this stuff, is there are times when you react to life, but the trick is to know and pull it back in, and then realise, what is it I'm doing, what am I thinking, who am I being? Because that's when you get that bit right, everything unfolds in all areas of your life. But you see, I got hit by that car that day because of the choices and decisions I made to be there. Yeah, that's what that was. And I always remember the lawyers coming at us and saying, you can claim a lot of money for this. I said, I'm not interested in claiming a lot of money for it. I have no interest in it. I put myself there. And they thought I was mad. But you never get something for nothing. You think you do, but you don't. You pay the price for it. So my thing to say to you is, please do the homework. Day 2. Make a drawing. Yeah? And do that. But you see, when you go through the questions that are on here and you answer them honestly, I think you're going to get a little shift in your thinking. We'll work more with this. But I hope you understand you are in control, because what you let go in here is your experience of life. Can you imagine if you couldn't fail? What would you do if you could not fail? Because you can't. You don't fail. You only fail if you give up. Yeah, because that's what you got going on here. Give up. You can have anything you want if you're willing to learn who you need to be. How do you learn that? By understanding where you're at and what you need to do. This stuff that I'm sharing is just the basic, it's the tip of the iceberg. But what's going on underneath that iceberg is what's going on here. And when you change what's going on there through space repetition, and we'll talk more about that, yeah, you will see things change. I promise you'll see things change. And if you really keep going with this, I'll promise you can tell me whatever goal you want to achieve that you really believe that you want, and I can show you the process of how to do that. And I'll tell you, I've yet to come across anybody who's gone through the process and done exactly what I'm asking them to do, what I get to do. I've yet to see somebody not get their goal. When they don't get their goal, they come back and the honesty comes out. What bit they've missed out, yeah. Because it's like when you try and do something and you water it down. Because what's going to happen? This paradigm is going to have you still believe your old way for a while until you do the work. I can't turn the camera up there onto my board. It says do all the work, Lee. All the work is the mental side of it. You've got to program it. You are who you are today because of what's gone in there. A lot of it's good, but we all have little areas we need to improve on. Sandy Gallagher, Googler, she always says good's a great word, but better's even better. See, if you're grateful for what you have now, you'll get more of it. Yeah. There's something that goes on with us as human beings, and you're going to keep on attracting to you exactly who you're being. And if you're in the wrong relationship, hey, it's because of what you're saying. It's the words you're using constantly. Not always out here. You can say what you want out here. It's what you're doing in the silence of your mind. People often say, when you talk about couples, you know, oh, they're a lovely couple. Well, it's because probably their pillow talk's good stuff. But you'll see some people, especially in sport, you see people come off the rails sometimes, and then you find out they split up with their partner, whether it be male or female. They split up with their partner. That's the power of pillow talk. Why? Because our talk and our beliefs is linked to our emotions. How we feel is how we respond or react to life. How you hear things. You can hear the same word, and how it's said can just mean something completely different. One can cause a reaction, one a response. You can see something. We talked about it already. So when you're going around life, I'm going to ask you to guard what's going in here. Start questioning it. Look for guidance, help and support. If you're not sure how to go about it, do the basic steps in your guide tonight. Okay, I've gone over a little bit. I told you I'd do that. Do your homework, put it in the group, and live life on purpose. Have fun. Because life, if it ain't fun, you're either doing the thing wrong or you shouldn't be doing it at all. So do things that inspire, help and aid your life to be better and the people you love and care for. And for those who can't do it for themselves, help them. Okay, good night. Love you all.